And then inventory. Inventory is the marketer's friend and the financial major's nightmare. Because inventory equals responsiveness. The more inventory you have, the more likely it's going to be in stock when the customer asks for it. So it's great for responsiveness, it's great for customer service, reduces stockouts. Inventory can also minimize costs of production if you make long production runs and store it. For example, the things that you buy at Christmas were probably not made in November, but they were probably made several months ago over a long period of time and stored so that I could have them available to the retailer appropriate season, but from a manufacturing perspective, I can manufacture all year long and don't have to shut down for 6 months waiting for the next holiday. In business to business, there's the concept of safety stock where I've got my production line running and I want to make sure that I have a certain amount of inventory available so that if I have a disruption in my supply chain, I can keep the factory running for a period of time before I have to shut down. And there are some financial benefits for inventory. One is that if you buy in bulk, you get a deal. Hedging, are you familiar with that? That's a financial concept. Hedging is when you buy in advance on the futures market in anticipation of taking delivery of the physical product later. And the idea is that if prices for a product or for a commodity are low right now, I can lock in that low price. And then that will allow me to have more efficient production as I use that stuff. One of the reasons that Southwest Airlines has been able to keep their prices so low is that they had done a really good job of hedging fuel prices before one of the big run-ups in fuel prices. So when all the other airlines were adding fuel surcharges, they had locked in a supply of relatively inexpensive fuel and were able to use that to their advantage during that period. The downside of inventory is it costs money. There's the cost of paying for the inventory. There's the cost of financing the inventory if you have to finance it. Many states have an inventory tax where you have to pay tax if you're storing it on inventory. And then there's the costs of storing it, and especially if it requires special handling, the storage requirements add to the cost. And then there's risk-related costs. There's the risk that it might have been in my factory or in my warehouse when I was playing bowling. But loss, damage, obsolescence, spoilage, just inventory generally depreciates over time because of all of these things. The last function I want to talk about is third-party providers. And this is kind of getting back to what we talked about with the whole idea of intermediaries can make a channel more efficient. Is not every business is good at doing all of those functions that have to happen for the product to get from producer to consumer. And so third-party providers are just businesses that specialize in one or more of those functions. And the trade-off here is between cost and control. So in many cases, if, for example, if I want to ship in my own trucks, then I have complete control over how the trucks are loaded, how the trucks are scheduled, how the trucks are maintained, how the product is loaded and unloaded. I have all of that control. But unless I'm really good at running trucks, it's probably a trucking firm is better at it. So the cost, it would be more expensive for me to truck it myself, but I would have more control. If I work with a trucking company, it's probably less expensive to ship, but then I have to trust that the shipping company is going to handle the product appropriately, that it's going to be delivered on time, and all of those things. Questions? Or you want to get out of here early? Ask questions, we're done.